a code-built house is technically the worst house you can legally build. So what we're doing is I'm actually going to double stud both of the ends, the 12-foot, the 8-foot, and the 4-foot. You got to have a strong floor. That's the foundation of everything, other than, I guess, you know, your strong foundation. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm running down this beam and making marks where all the boards go. We'll also do that on the 2 end boards, and that'll take all the guesswork out of it. You just lay your boards down, make sure the board is in between the 2 marks on both your beam and on your end boards, and you just screw it together. Now, this is all of the floor joists. You just stand them up right on your marks and put your 2 caps on it, and you're done. This is a lot more boards than you need, but I wanted to make it as strong as possible. You just take your board here and find your marks on your beam. Let me flip this over. Once you're within those 2 marks of where this needs to be, you look down here at your overhang mark and make that flush with the outside of your beam. Looks good. There we go. Now you just toenail it. I was a little bummed. The salesman there at the lumber place talked me into these real fancy, like decking Torx bit screws. These are a lot more money. But you know what? He may have known what he was talking about, because these are nice. And there again, something like the screws are above and beyond code, because code calls for them nails. There are certain circumstances where you need to use nails and not screws, but this isn't one of them. Above and beyond code, boys. So this here is the last one. I'm going to screw it to this other one here and then screw it down. Once I've done that, I'm going to run around and just sort of put screws in stuff randomly. It'll make me feel better, and it'll be a lot more sturdy. So I'm going to run. I tried to put a minimum of like 4 screws in each of the studs, both going from under, going through the actual large beam into the bottom of the studs, and then going at an angle from the top of the stud itself into the beam. So there's a lot of screws in it. Now you want to make sure that your floor is anchored to your beams really, really well, because your beams is what you attach your anchors to. So you don't want, in a strong wind, you don't want your beams staying put, but your floor and your house falling off. So either way, now we're going to work on some plywood and some foam board and see if we can't get this floor done today. I got it. All right, my battery's dying. That's why you got backups to the backups. So all we've done here is just cap the end of all these runners. I used the marks to know if it's just a little bit off. You just push it slightly to make sure that these studs line up with them marks that we made at the very beginning. And I'm putting 3 in each one on the double studs in order to keep this big runner board here from cracking. I'm putting 3 on the first one. 1, 2, 3. And then just 2 in between, in the spaces of the 3 on the second one. So there's 5 screws per each double stud, and then 3 per each single. There we go, because I got to stand on this log to reach it. All right, there we go. Ready? Doesn't have to be perfect, just close. Yeah, that log is not very supportive. All right, go your way, son. There. All right, so now it's time for the plywood. You know, you could do 1 sheet of thick plywood if you want to, but that's not what the cool cats do. Cool cats do 2 sheets of thinner plywood because it's easier to carry, and it's like stacking block, man. You ain't got any like main seams. You get to cover up most of your seams with that second layer. So what I got here is some of that cheap foam board. I'm going to take and lay it down on top of the plywood. Wow. Whoa. Gonna lay it on top of the plywood, and I'm just going to loosely staple it, and then we'll flip this plywood over and screw it down. We'll do that with the whole first layer, so there is a layer of foam under the floor. This may be the best that we can hope for this winter, but I went this option versus actual roll foam or roll in insulation because it's heavy, expensive, and it can't get wet. Also, it's ugly. If you've ever lived in a place where you can see the paper on that stuff, you get tired of it. But the main reason, other than all those really good ones, is that whenever the house is done, so we're putting this down now, and then later that we'll actually insulate the floor fully how you're supposed to, it'll be above code. Not only are you stuffing the code level insulation between your runners, but you also got the added layer of this foam board here. So there you go. Getting blinded. You want the shiny side down in your face, and just loosely staple it. There you go. Now we flip it over and screw it down. In my experience, you can never get everything perfectly square. You're just hoping for as close as humanly possible, which is what we got. There we go. Now we just screw it down real good, and we'll do the whole floor, and then we'll do a second layer, and we'll be rocking and rolling, man.